Do you have access to the developer console at all in game?
Uh, yes, you do. Just tilde, and
All
it
right.
brings it up.
Okay, I've heard some people saying that it's not accessible.
I mean, I got it
So
by accident when I was playing last night. I was like, "What is that?" And I went, "Oh, right, that's the console." But all right, I'm not gonna alt tab anymore. I got my settings good. All right, I'm ready. All right, pros of the game. It's Fallout 4. I mean, if you like Fallout, you'll like this game. It's it's prettier, like I said on the just a minute ago before everything went crazy and I had to restart everything. Um, the crafting system is way more in depth. All of the junk has meaning. I think that this game right now for me is not Fallout 4. It's a Wasteland Miner simulator. I've already cleared out 2 small towns, like 100% cleared them out, went and got every resource that I could get, and brought them back to my settlement. Which, I mean, I love that sort of thing. I have
Yeah, well, you do love your mining.
I do love my mining. I have almost completely cleared out the settlement. Like when it starts, everything is completely destroyed from years and years of neglect, as things in the Fallout universe are. And in order to build, you have to tear down a bunch of stuff, and they have you do like some really basic quests, like, oh, build a farming place and build some defenses and stuff like that. And you have to tear down some of it. I was like, nah, I'm just gonna tear down all of it. Like I streamed for about 2 hours last night, and then I played for about another hour and a half, and I spent that hour and a half just demolishing all of the broken stuff in the settlement.
Yeah, it sounds like you really do need your management game fixed.
I do. I was gonna get that with City Skylines, but it didn't work for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to suggest to you a couple of management games.
Go right ahead. You've suggested Dwarf Fortress like 100 times at this point.
Well, there's also Banished, which is also fairly good.
Banished
The
is on my
AI in
wish
it's
list.
Banished is a little bit brain dead at times. It likes to do this like death march if you're not careful, and I'm not joking there. The AI loves to try to go around a river by going to the edge of the map and coming back, but because of the time scale of things, your settlers or banished or whatever you want to call them will actually starve to death on the march out and coming back.
That's probably not a good thing.
Yeah, so you have to be a little bit careful in your building projects. But there is a mod that, always there's a mod. It's me.
Yeah.
There's a mod that really adds a lot of depth to it. It's called Colonial Charter. Because
Uh-huh.
that's one of the main complaints I have with Banished is that it's just so simplistic. There's not a lot of supply lines,
Mhm. Yeah, I've seen a
and
couple of
that
reviews that
adds
talk
a
about how
lot to it.
simple the supply and stuff is in the game.
Yeah, Colonial Charter adds so much to it. I haven't dug too deeply into it, but it at least doubles the number of buildings just in the production tabs.
I'm getting.
But it sounds like you're playing Fallout 4 more as a management game than a RPG at this point.
Right now, I am. Honestly, it plays a lot more like a management FPS. They have improved the gunplay so much that I rarely think about using VATS. I've used it a few times. It's been helpful, but the FPS component of Fallout 3 and New Vegas, which were in the same engine, was really clunky, for lack of a better word. I mean, it was functional, but VATS was much preferred. And now VATS is like, if I'm in a difficult spot, I'll hit VATS. Oh, feral tools. To just kind of pause the game and get my bearings instead of just using it all the time.
I never really used VATS in the older games. I've played Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, and I played them more like shooters than just a pseudo first-person shooter slash turn-based strategy
Yeah,
by heavily using VATs.
yeah.
Maybe it's just I was a good enough shot. I don't know.
I mean, I very heavily used VATS in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, and I've used it maybe a dozen times in Fallout 4. Granted, I haven't
Typically,
had
what I
a,
use
a
VATs
ton of
for.
combat, but
Typically, what I used VATs for was, like you said, to get my bearings or possibly to spot someone I didn't see myself, but my character saw.
uh-huh. Um, I really like the voice protagonist as well. I think that's a big pro. There's some contention about that. I've seen a lot of people that are like, no, this isn't Fallout. It's weird, but I quite like it. They did
Well,
a really good job with it.
well, one problem you're going to have with it is any additional content that people make, the mods, is not going to have that voice protagonist. It's really going to be a lot more than it was in the older games.
That is true, yeah. But I mean, they could just make the protagonist silent at that point. I don't think it would be too big of a deal in mods for the protagonist to become silent. He doesn't say
Yeah,
a lot
or,
most of
or
the
a
time,
smart.
anyways, until you get into the big story portions.
Okay, I wasn't sure how much he talked.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, outside of like,
I mean,
there's not much battle kind of chat. And then for the side quests, he might say, like a very short sentence to someone. I haven't had anything yet that's like long form dialogue outside of the main story.
well, a smart story writer for a mod could just make it so, could try to reason why he's not talking, or even just reuse some of the older dialogue.
Yeah, there's a ton of dialogue. If you, took the time, you could probably pretty easily pull out the dialogue that you needed to put. Oh, I just died. To put together a story. I feel like the game is more difficult, which is neither a positive or a negative. It also could just be that I'm out of practice, but it does feel harder. Oh man, I'm all the way back here. Radiation works differently now. I think that is part of what makes it harder. As you take radiation, or as you get radiation sickness, instead of being a separate thing that builds up alongside to cause you negative effects, it just takes away from your health. So it lowers your
Ooh.
maximum health until you take rad away.
So there's not like a threshold in the older games where I think it was like 100, 200, 300, 400, 500.
Nope, there's none of that. You've got your health bar in the bottom left-hand corner, and as you get radiation poisoning, it just lowers your max health. I suppose like a threshold would be if you died because you didn't have any health left. But so that's, in some ways it's easier, but it's certainly more annoying. Hang on, sticky combat
Well, it's
situation.
a little bit less jarring that you could run around with 99 radiation and not have the first threshold pop,
Yeah.
Yeah, have it a more gradual thing. I mean, granted, it does add to a lot more difficulty.
Yeah. The weapon customization is amazing too. There's so much you can do with weapons. Like, so far, every weapon that I've seen, which granted is fairly limited since I'm not too far yet, but I've got something like a dozen different weapons, and they've all got completely separate trees of upgrades and things you can do. Like 5 or 6 different barrels you can attach, and 5 or 6 different stocks, and you can take one weapon and turn it into a completely different weapon. Like, I've got a pistol or a revolver, the first actual revolver I found, instead of like kind of a makeshift weapon, and I turned it into a sniper rifle. So that's really cool, just being able to do pretty much whatever you want with your weapons. Makes the game, a lot more customizable and play it however you want. sort of feel. I like that. My inventory is always full, though. Because I'm literally picking up every single thing I walk across. It's like, oh, some scrap metal. Yeah, I could use that. Oh, a battery. Yeah, I could use one of those.
Yeah, I'm already a bit of a pack rat in those type of games, so I don't think that's going to be very conducive to my behavior.
They did kind of compensate it a little bit. I'm not sure if a lot of those objects have 0 weight and I've just not noticed it, or if they readjusted a lot of the weights, which I think would make more sense to me. Because you can carry around so much stuff now, even with your base character. Because I created a very even character. I didn't focus much on luck at the beginning, but otherwise, I went fairly even. And I can still carry like 300 pounds worth of stuff, which amounts to like 500 or 600 items. Oh. Yeah, blew her head off. The bloody mess perk is still probably my favorite. Just, they explode into bits whenever you shoot them in the toe. Good stuff. That's probably most of the good stuff I've discovered so far. You know, crafting and customization and building your settlement. Well, it looks like you can have multiple settlements. I obviously am not far enough to confirm that or not, but there are bits that show up like you can have multiple homesteads. They might just be kind of like forward operating bases that you can create or something. But they show up on the map like the town does. So that would be nifty. I would like to have multiple bases to build.
What would be interesting is, granted, I haven't played the game yet, but if you're able to specialize a town into, let's say, food production and have a trade route between the towns.
Oh, that would be interesting, yeah. Let's see, pull out my shotgun.
Of course, then you also have to be able to protect that, so, armed guards and maybe get called in every so often, the player character, I should say, to repel a raid on the trade route or a siege.
That would be interesting. Your town can come under siege. I know that. They talk about it, and it's like if you don't have enough defenses, you're just inviting raiders to come lay siege to your town. Because your town kind of has a value. I don't think it's shown anywhere, but they talk about it in kind of a little tutorial whenever they're telling you how to build your town, based on how many settlers you have and how much food you produce. And then how many like stores and things you put into your town later on. So your town has a value, and you have to defend it well enough so that you don't get sieged. I should probably save. This is where I got killed last time. There's plenty of things I don't like about the game, though, that's for sure. For one, it's buggy as hell.
We were talking Bethesda.
Yeah.
Their motto is basically let the modders fix it.
I was expecting it to be buggy, but I didn't think it would be this bad. There's physics bugs, which is what I was expecting the most. You get hung up on things weird, and stuff can kind of float around and bounce around in ways that don't make sense, and oh, yep, I died. My arm got blown off. Good thing I saved. There's lots of frame rate drops. I mean, I don't have a monster PC, but I've got a pretty decently powerful gaming PC. And there are ridiculous amounts of frame rate drops, even when I'm not recording or streaming or anything.
Well, I saw a comparison video between, this is the console versions, between the PS4 and the Xbox One. And the Xbox One was actually dropping to 0 whenever it was the cutscenes.
Yeah.
That is inexcusable.
Yeah, that's awful. I didn't see that comparison, but I saw one. And yeah, the Xbox One drops a lot more frames than the PS4.
I mean, I don't have any love lost for the consoles most of the time. There are some things, especially their exclusive titles, but then again, I'm kind of in the camp where I think exclusive titles are kind of bullshit.
Yeah, I agree.
Wait, can I say bullshit here?
Yeah, you can.
Well, I hope so because I just said it twice. But having a closed environment where your game is still performing horrendously
Yeah.
is just absurd to me.
See, the problem is that they on the console versions, like I've seen a whole bunch of comparisons, like on the graphics and stuff. And aside from just a few extra details, if you stand still, the console versions, both of them, actually look pretty close to the PC until you start wall licking. Then you can notice that the texture quality is not quite as high. But outside of that, they are close. But that kills the frame rate on the consoles because they just can't handle it.
Well, one thing I noticed on pretty much every comparison video I've seen is details pop in rather noticeably on the console versions, particularly shadows. I mean, I'm not an absolutely huge graphics guy, so I could give a pass on some anti-aliasing issues and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But having a giant shadow going across the road just pop into existence when it wasn't there when you were 10 feet back just is so immersion breaking.
Yeah. Oh. He threw a Molotov.
And I understand why they had to do it because they somehow got it 1080p and 30 FPS, even though, I'm not a huge fan of games running at 30 FPS. I mean, I could play them, but a shooter like that, I think it would be a lot more noticeable than a lot of other games.
Well, while I'm recording, so I talked about frame drops. While I'm recording or streaming, I'm lucky to hit 50 frames a second. When I'm playing normally, since I'm on the PC version, I occasionally get a dip sub 60, but for the most part, I stay at 60 or right above 60. But the game is not optimized well. So when I record, it's just awful. Like, normally when I'm playing it, I can watch my CPU load, and it sits at around 85 to 90% just playing. And that's ridiculous. This game is not that complex, big, or beautiful. I mean, Warframe...
is that across all cores, or is it just a couple cores?
That is 3 of my 4 cores, which is what I'm saying about not optimized. It's not using all 4 of my cores. One of my cores sits nice and cozy down at, like, I don't know, 25 or 30%. And then 3 of them are sitting at the 85 to 90% level. I don't know what that 4th core is supposed to be doing, but, I mean, it should be using that 4th core. I mean, it's a 64-bit multi-threaded game.
It's the supervisor. It doesn't actually have to do anything. It's just making sure everyone else is working.
It's making sure they're all working. It's just going to sit there. But the frame rate...
Drinking a beer.
...is an issue because the frame rate is tied into the physics of the game. And it's not capped at anything.
They did that. Really?
They did that.
Actually, I've heard people saying that the frame rate is capped at 60 on PC.
That is not true.
I haven't been able to confirm that. Okay, but part of this is me confirming or disproving things for myself as well.
Yeah, that's not true. I don't know if there is a cap on the frame rate, but my frame rate will go all the way up to 90. I've only got a 60 hertz monitor, so my fresh rate is only 60 FPS. But without VSync on, it will go all the way up to 90 on my machine. There have been people that I've seen say that it's hard capped at 72, but I'm not sure about that. And I've seen a video online where a guy does a comparison of the physics engine at different frame rates, and he does from 30 all the way up to, 260? And at 30 to 60 is pretty much identical. He slowed it down, and you can see, like, a tiny difference. 60 to 120 is very noticeable, but 120 would still be playable. And then at 260, the game is running, like, 3 times faster than normal.
Oh, why would they do this?
Especially in, 2015, almost 2016.
A AAA title should... There was a video that Total Biscuit did of one of the Need for Speed games, and I think it was Underground, maybe. that tied the physics to the FPS, and they capped it at 30. So if you uncapped the frame rate and went to 60, the game was playing at double speed. And a 30 FPS for a racing game where you're racing at pretty high speeds is pretty much unacceptable on
I
PC.
I mean, I feel like it's unacceptable even on a console. I
Yeah,
mean, racing games can easily hit 60 FPS on console. They were doing it with the 360 and the PS3. I mean, even Mario
well,
Kart
if you
on
want to
Nintendo Wii runs at freaking 60 frames a second.
well, if you want to talk about consoles running 60 FPS, the old consoles were running 60 FPS.
That's true. You could get 60 FPS out of a 360 or a PS3. There were games that did it.
I'm talking about. I think the Nintendo Entertainment System was 60 FPS.
You know, you're right. Those classic consoles had a higher base frame rate.
Yeah, the reason why they cut the frame rate and then started feeding gamers bullshit was that they wanted to push the graphic fidelity while not releasing another console generation, which is part of the reason why I don't want to say I'm anti-console, but I dislike a lot of the bullshit that people associate with them. The cinematic experience for one. Oh, that just drives me up the fucking wall.
Yeah, I dislike the cinematic experience still. I don't know of any situation where it could work. You could probably design a game that wasn't exactly a game and make it run at 24 or 30 FPS and make some kind of a cinematic experience out of it. But just saying a game is cinematic because it runs at 30 FPS is garbage.
Yeah, sorry to get on my rant.
No, it's fine. Yeah, playing this game at 30 FPS would be terrible. I couldn't imagine trying to play it on a console. I mean, like I said, it dips on PC. If you had a powerful enough PC, you probably would never notice. But I notice. Yeah, take that. The control scheme, even on the keyboard, is a little weird, too. I need to get in there and remap the keys. I just haven't done that yet. But it uses... instead of using escape to be able to leave menus, you have to hit tab. And it feels weird. Well, you hit tab sometimes. Sometimes you hit escape, and occasionally you have to hit enter in order to leave a menu. So it's got an inconsistent control scheme. I considered plugging in my my Xbox One controller and using that to play the game and see how it is, but I haven't done that yet. I don't know if I actually will.
Playing a shooter with a controller feels like trying to type with boxing gloves on.
For you, it does. I do all right with it because I've played so many consoles in my life, but I've gotten a lot more used to the keyboard and mouse than I used to just because I play so many PC games now, by contrast. So it might be a little weird. And since this is much more of a shooter than the previous games, it might be double weird.
So what's the approximate field of view of the game?
If I had to take a guess...
I mean, you could probably figure it out just by overlapping your field of views until you do a complete 360 and just divide by the number.
Okay, we will do that. I have to go back to my town, so it'll be safe there, and we can do that. If I had to guess, I'd say that the field of view is set somewhere around 60 degrees by default.
Oh, that is unplayable for me.
It's narrow. It's very narrow.
I can't play the original BioShock because of the field of view. I literally start getting sick.
I mean, between the gun model and the hands, you're losing almost a quarter of your screen. And I've only got like little pistols and stuff. I can't imagine how bad it is with like rocket launchers and all that stuff in the late game.
I have a feeling I know how the console version has 30 FPS at 1080p.
Yeah.
Yeah, field of view.
The field of view is garbage, and there's not even. I mean, if they had a slider with no numbers, I'd be annoyed. But like, I went looking in the options menu for like 10 minutes, going, no, this is a PC game by Bethesda in 2015. There should be a field of view slider here. I must just be in a different menu.
I have done a little bit of research. You can change the field of view, but you have to dig deep into the INI
And the
files.
INI files, yeah.
And supposedly, if you don't do it correctly, it breaks a lot of things.
Yeah.
So that's why I was asking about the default.
Oh, hey, look, a trader came to my town. All right, let me clear my inventory really quick. Store all junk. All right, let me stand for this scientific test. Let's go to the middle of the kind of the circle drive in town.
And try to get it where you could get as close as you can to. You basically want to have the edges of your screen, each screen, as close to together as possible.
Yeah. All right. So there's 1. 2. Oh shit! I'm in the middle of a tree. Just be very careful. 3. 4. About 4 3/4. So it might be a little bit higher than I thought. Let me pull out my handy dandy calculator.
Well, that put the field of view at about 80 at 4.5.
Yeah, it definitely was more than 4.5. It was somewhere between 4.5 and 5. So
well, at 5 it's 72.
yeah, so let's say 75-ish degrees. That'll be a good estimate. That should account for any slight errors I made.
That feels very narrow.
It is very narrow. I mean, the standard field of view that I play with is 100.
90 is my bare minimum.
Yeah, 90 is a good bare minimum, but I like to play at 100. I mean, you can go out into third-person mode, which obviously, lets you zoom in and out. But I don't like to play games like this in third-person mode. Aside from just kind of running around and, looking at how neat things are. I much prefer first-person.
Yeah, that's probably going to be about the only way I would be able to play it, and hopefully that wouldn't cause simulation sickness as well, because Overlord had gave me problems as well.
I will say I don't get simulation sickness, so I don't have to worry about
I don't get
that
it much,
per se. But
certain games just trigger it.
Sorry, I wouldn't be very good company right now.
yeah, I guess I should say I've never had it before. There might be a game that could trigger it, but
Yeah, like I can't play the original BioShock because of it, just because of the narrow field of view and the head bob. And I've done some work on it, trying to actually get it where I can play it, but I just never was able to get it working correctly.
Mm-hmm.
You just feel that queasiness.
Yeah.
And Overlord is another one that's triggered it badly for me in the past, and that's a third-person game. It's just something about the field of view and the way the camera sways.
That would be really annoying to me, to not even be able to play a third-person game. Ooh, bolt-action rifle. That's nice. Another thing I don't like is in the beginning, the story progresses odd. That's the best way to describe it, really. Like, initially you get this very, very slow start where you feel like they're going to be, kind of hand-holding new players into how the game goes. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But then 25 or 30 minutes in, it's like, oh, here, let's give you the suit of power armor right off the bat. And it's like, well, that ruins all sense of progression. and then they take it
Wait,
away from you again.
they put the power armor or that?
First story mission, you get the power armor. But the way power armor works this time is stupid. All right, so power armor.
I think it was coined in the original Assassin's Creed where you started with all your abilities, then you were stripped of them, so it became an abilities.
Yeah, that's pretty much how this goes. So in the first 30 minutes, you go and you get the power armor. But the power armor, unlike in previous Fallout games, which is just an equipable set of armor, is like a tank you can get in and drive around. So you can get inside the power armor.
Thing.
You can get inside the power armor, and you can use any of your weapons. You can use weapons that are specifically can only be wielded by the power armor. Yada yada. But you have to power the armor with some kind of like fusion batteries or fusion coils or something. And as soon as it runs out of power, basically it becomes useless. You can walk very slowly in it and shoot your gun, but you can no longer use VATS, you can no longer sprint, and you can no longer melee attack. So whenever you run out of gas, basically you can push it home, and then put it up on its little rack.
It's a careful approach. Getting out and push.
Yeah, you get out and push, and you bring it home and you put it on its rack, and there it sits. You have barely enough fuel to finish the first mission in the power armor, and if you screw up, when you're fighting, you have to fight a group of bandits in the town, and then something happens, and if you screw up with the thing that happens, you don't have enough fuel to get it home. So your whole group runs off and leaves you, and you're like, wait, come back, I'm limping. It's dumb, and it's been sitting here for hours. I've explored 2 towns 100% to completion. I haven't found any fuel. I just finished off another story mission, no fuel.
So it's just sitting there taunting you.
It is. It's sitting here. I'm looking at it right now, and I can enter it, but I can't do anything when I get in it except slowly plod along and listen to the alarm beep at me. You are out of fuel.
Oh, see, you need the Mr. Fusion mod.
Yeah, then I can put a whole bunch of this garbage in there and power it. I got lots of random radiated meats.
Do you think the town will eventually get a way to generate the fuel needed for that thing?
I'm not sure. You can get perks which upgrade the level and rarity of items that both you can produce in the town and that vendors can bring into you. So perhaps that would be awesome if that was the case. That's something that has changed as well, and I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. The way that the perk and the level up system works. So used to, whenever you leveled up, you would get stat points based on your intelligence that you could allocate to your basic stats. Every once in a while you got a special point, and then you got every however many levels you got a perk. Well, now every time that you level up, you get 1 point that you can put in anything that you have unlocked. So you can upgrade your special stats at any point in time, and then you can your special stats unlock perks that have levels to them that give you different bonuses, and you can put the point into one of the perks. So my build right now, let me go look at it just to maybe try and explain it a little bit better. Stats. Perk chart. So it's got levels as you work your way down the tree, and at the top are your specials, or your special stats. And every level up you get 1 point, and you can either increase your special stats, or underneath each special stat, just in a line, working your way down the sheet, are different perks. Like, for example, Charisma has got Cap Collector, Lady Killer, Lone Wanderer, etc. down the chart. And I've got, how many points in Charisma? 5 points. So I can go down up to 5 levels. There's 10 levels to the perks. And so in order to get down to the bottom, let's see, the very bottom perk for Charisma is called Intimidation, which you have to have a Charisma of 10 to unlock. So I'd have to spend 5 more points to get my charisma to 10, but then I could jump all the way down to the bottom and get intimidation.
Interesting.
It's just different, and it's not bad, but I'm not sure if I like it because it gives you less options when building your character. There's no more like skill related to lockpicking, for example. You could put points into your lockpicking skill to get it all the way up to 100. Well, that's no longer a thing. Let's see. I think lockpicking is tied into perception. But like at the base level, I can unlock novice locks. And then I put 1 point into... Well, I'm looking for it, but I don't see it. Locksmith, here we go. I put 1 point into locksmith, and then I can pick advanced locks. And then 1 more point lets me pick expert locks. And then 1 more point lets me pick master locks. Or maybe it's journeyman. I don't know, whatever the levels are. So there's no more like skill related to it. And the higher your skill, like you can force locks, like that doesn't exist anymore. You have to pick all the locks. Unless like the top tier just allows you to break locks and open stuff. So it's weird. In some ways it makes things more accessible, and in other ways it kind of limits your
Removes
options. Yeah, it removes depth. I haven't hit any hurdles with it yet, but like I said, I'm not sure how I feel about it. So do you have any other questions you want to ask about Fallout?
Not off the bat. I haven't dove too deeply into what people are saying about it, though, so give me a moment. I'll look around.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to go sleep. I believe sleeping is what naturally removes your radiation poisoning over time.
I just saw the video of the guy testing the frame rate versus physics. Looks like there's actually an I&I file edit for this. It seems like there's going to be so many I&I tweaks to do in this game to actually get it to run worth half a damn.
Yeah. If you've got a powerful enough PC, you can just power through it. Like, this is a game that throwing horsepower at the problem fixes it. But outside of that, INI files or, like, mods that fix things are the only ways to handle the problems.
So it's essentially the Arkham Knight problem once again, where they made an optimized mess of a game. Well, not as bad as Arkham Knight, but if you have a powerful enough PC or you have that magical combination that they actually tested the game on, then you're fine.
Yeah. Basically, that's it. Just right away. There it is.
This is AAA gaming in 2015, folks.
Yeah. Welcome to the new age.
No wonder old people are grumpy. They remember the better times.
I did find an item called a chemistry station where you can create stim packs and things like that. It's a still. Definitely had been some moonshine brewed on this thing. I found that exploring my town. There's lots of neat little things that are hidden away. I will say this game has got lots of Easter eggs. Even in like the opening couple of hours, if you've played the Fallout series, you'd be like, oh yeah, I recognize that. I know what that is and where that's from.
Yeah, that's one thing that the older... I guess I could call them the older Fallout games. Fallout 3 and New Vegas, the ones I played, did really well. Was something I like to call micro stories, where you could see... just set items set a particular way. Like in the, I think it was the second town that you went into in New Vegas. The one with the giant casino and the roller coaster, and I'm blanking on the name of it.
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name either. But
And one the rooms in there, you'd actually find a note talking about how a woman was being held hostage and for a ransom. And if you looked around, you'd actually find a corpse in a bathtub in the room that they were referring to. So the ransom was never paid, obviously. Most likely because the bombs fell, but that's beside the point.
Yeah. I found something like that as well in the first town that you go to for the opening story mission. I mean, obviously you can go back there and explore. And there's a bar, and I found like a secret room in the bar where all of these people, like all of their skeletons are holding like cigars and beer bottles, and like there's a pair of skeletons like together in the bathtub and a pair together in the bed. And there's a note that's like, well, since the bombs have dropped, I guess it's time for us to make good on our pact. And it's like they had a party and then all committed suicide, which in some ways is really cool and in other ways is really creepy. But
their history.
Well, that's pretty much the Fallout universe in general.
Yeah.
Looks like here a lot of people are complaining about the NVIDIA GameWorks, how it's crippling frame rate pretty much across the board, particularly for AMD users, which I am one. There's a comparison of God rays, just turning them down to off, going from ultra to high. This is on a GeForce GTX 980 Ti with a i7 processor.
Yeah.
Going from ultra to high goes from a frame rate of about 57 to about 75.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm playing on high. Originally, it set all of my stuff to ultra. And I started playing it, and I was getting like 35, 40 FPS, and I was like, they can't look that much different. And it doesn't. I mean, someone with a more trained eye that really appreciates graphical fidelity more might notice, but I can't tell the difference between high and ultra. And I get like 30 to 40 FPS back.
Yeah, it sounds like AMD users are having a lot of problems, what I'm reading here.
Oh, I can imagine. I mean, like I said, I'm having problems, and I've got an NVIDIA build.
Well, pretty much as soon as I heard GameWorks, that's bad news for anyone that's running AMD. Unfortunately, and then you could hear me rant about the how the graphics card companies are trying to screw one another over, but that's a rant for another day, I guess.
Yeah.
Got the best armor in these parts.
Who are you? You're a fat man with a big beard.
What kind of stuff do you have?
Oh, you sell stuff.
Oh, here's one. Mouse acceleration. Does the game have mouse acceleration turned on by default? Some people are complaining about that.
I do not have mouse acceleration, and I did not change any settings for my mouse sensitivity at all. So, no. Unless it's like a weird thing that turns on for specific hardware combinations.
Let's see what you have. Don't cheap out.
Yeah, I'm just quickly leafing through this, see if I can find anything else. A lot of complaints about, here's a complaint about the physical version of the game. How it only has 8 gigs of the game, and you have to download the rest. So it's not really saving on that much.
I mean, that's been a news article for quite some time that I've seen all over the place, and people complain about. I mean, I got the digital, I downloaded it through Steam, but I mean, I've seen.
Yeah, what's the point of a physical copy for if you're having to download that much?
This is definitely way off topic, but did you see for Metal Gear Solid 5 that the physical copy of the game was just?
I saw that.
Just a download
Steam,
for.
It was just the Steam installer.
Yeah, that's all it was.
Yeah, and as ISPs are starting to roll out data caps, I don't see how gaming is going to survive.
Yeah.
As the games are getting bigger and bigger, and the data caps there's no incentive because the ISPs are trying to get the cord cutters to pay more because they're not buying the cable packages anymore, and the ISPs have a conflict of interest because a lot of them are cable companies.
Yep, most of them are, at least in my area. I mean, there's Charter and Comcast, but Charter's not in my
Well,
in my
mine,
area.
Sunlink, is a cable company, and they put a data cap on me.
Yeah, I'm in one
And
of the.
then at the same time, up my speed to make it easier to hit that data cap.
Yeah, I live in an area of Tennessee that is about to get data caps in December from Comcast.
Get out of caps?
No, we are about to get them. I currently have no cap, and on December 1st, I get a
Oh.
300 gigabyte cap.
Oh, so goodbye to your streaming?
Now I'm going to keep doing it and just keep complaining. I reviewed my contract, and nowhere in there, even in the fine print, does it say that they can do that.
Oh,
'Cause
I
I
would
have
be
an
putting
older
F-
contract.
FCC complaint.
Oh, I have. More than one. I did one a day for an entire week, and now I'm just doing one a week. Talk to me,
Yeah,
lady.
I'm surprised that the game companies aren't are lobbying to get the data caps gone.
I just can't see
But
how
then
data
again,
caps will last in my area. Like, we've got one of the only, what is, let's see, Chattanooga's nickname is Gig City because they were one of the first, maybe the only cities in the southeast to put in a fiber network that is just available to the public and has a one single base rate, no data caps, all that jazz. And that is almost to me as well because, I mean, they're expanding beyond Chattanooga, and I'm about 30, 40 miles outside of Chattanooga, and it's currently 25 miles out. Like, it's a 25-mile radius from the center of the city, and they're expanding outwards all the time. So I'm looking forward to that, and I don't see how Comcast can do that and expect that not everyone will just swap. Like, thankfully, there's 3 or 4 ISPs in my area, and Comcast is currently the best, and it makes me feel really dirty to say that. But currently, they're the best. But there are other options.
Yeah, see, I'm in the unfortunate area where the cable company that's fucking me is pretty much the only option for my state, unless I go pretty far into the north of the state.
Yeah.
Well, there is a secondary option. It's DSL, which is just not good, at least in this area.
Did you say DSL or ESL?
DSL,
Okay. That's what I thought. But
direct service line.
yeah.
Basically the phone line version. And
Yeah, I had
was on
DSL
it
for a while a
short
few
time,
years
and
ago.
I was on it for a short time trying to, get around the data cap, and it was so inconsistent. Which is probably part of the reason why Sunlink is able to do that sort of thing. But we're completely off topic now, aren't we?
But I digress.
It's a way of life.
It's the best way of life. It's very interesting what bogs down the frame rate in this game, too. Like, you would think, right now I'm just running across the wasteland, which is quite pretty to be a wasteland, if I'm honest. But I'm, sitting at a comfy 55 to 60 FPS. My CPU's close to pegged out because of the draw distance, but, my frame rate's fine. But as soon as I get into an enclosed space, that's when my frame rate drops. It makes absolutely no sense to me. Again, I guess that goes to the nature of how buggy this game is. Ooh, Raiders. Uh-oh.
Are they after the Lost Ark?
Oh. One headshot. Dead. Although I only have 7 rounds of ammunition left. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, but I killed them all. Yeah, I'm not sure what exactly I'm going to do tonight. This is going to be my Fallout video for the day. I'm going to try and do one video a day until I either just get sick of putting up with the issues that come with recording this game, or actually, get quite a ways ahead. Because I'm still going to be posting, Monday night Kerbal and Wednesday night Warframe and all of that jazz.
Yeah.
But I have no idea what else I'm going to do, after this point. I'm very torn. Part of me wants to go explore the story. Part of me just wants to go back to my town and keep building stuff. You do get experience for absolutely everything that you do. Kill an enemy, get experience. Complete a quest, get experience. Build a shack in your town, get experience. So leveling up is very easy. I don't know if there's a level cap yet. One reviewer said you could level up to your heart's content, but I find that hard to believe, to be honest.
Yeah, I think one of the things they said before the game was released is that there's no level cap.
I mean, if that's the case, that's awesome, because, that would mean eventually you could, max out stuff and not have to pick and choose, because there's quite a few perks related to your town. At the beginning, you get kind of a base level of everything, and your town can function without putting any perks into the town abilities. But there's some really good stuff if you get the perks and unlock the upper level town stuff. There's some really good auto defense turrets. You can get nicer buildings that are bigger and kind of have their own little perks if you sleep in a building and stuff like that. And you can get better workbenches, and they give you higher level crafting equipment. So, it's completely functional if you choose to ignore it and just kind of do the basics to get by in the game. But you can get a huge bonus from actually using it.
I do worry a little bit about power creep if there's absolutely no level cap. It's because you'll be able to do absolutely everything. It becomes a little bit arbitrary at that point, I guess is the proper term. Or it doesn't really make a difference if you're able to just power through everything just by building a shacks over and over and over again.
Yeah, well, it obviously takes growing levels of
Do they have
experience.
level scaling, I wonder?
So far, it's hard to tell, honestly. I'm level 6, and all of the enemies that I fought have been able to very easily kill me, except for in the beginning when I had the power armor. Once I got the power armor, while it was working, it was like, nah, bro, you can't touch me. But, I've had the power armor for 5 minutes out of my 5 hours of gameplay. Let's put all my junk in there. What if you can craft ammunition? That'd be interesting. I could use some ammunition. I've got a Thompson. There's still so much to explore and discover in this game, just like any Fallout game. If I go look at the map, I've explored. And I genuinely feel like I've explored this portion of the map. Like I said, I've cleared out 2 entire towns 100%. I would say I've explored 5% of the total map in 5 hours. So there's lots.
But that's also doing 100% of it.
That's true. If I had just played the main quest, let's see, my first quest took me over there, and then down to here, and then back, and I'm about to pick up the next quest. I would venture to say that the next quest is going to take me to Diamond City, which is kind of in the middle of the map. Probably if you just follow the main quest line in the first couple of hours, you'll get to see a good third, somewhere between a quarter and a third of the map.
Map size, how does it compare to the other Fallouts? Well, the other FPS Fallouts, I should say.
Honestly,
I know it's going to be a bit hard to judge.
It's hard to say. It's definitely, much easier to say that it's bigger than Fallout 3. I would venture to say that the area I've explored alone, my 5% of the map here is probably a quarter of the map from Fallout 3. New Vegas was bigger than Fallout 3, so maybe half that. I mean, I would say it's easily 5 or 6 times bigger than Fallout New Vegas. They were saying online, or people have been saying that it's about 3 times bigger than Skyrim, and Skyrim was a couple of times larger than New Vegas. So, it's hard to say for sure, though. It feels big. I would say that it feels more deep than it does big. Like, there's just so many little things you can explore. There's a lot more buildings you can go into. There's a lot of buildings you can go into that don't even require loading screens, which is nice. Like, you just walk up to a door and open it, and it's like, oh, I don't have to actually transition inside this building. I can just go walk around. So there's a lot of stuff that you can go and explore and do. Turn that radio off. Scrap a few more things in the town. Now every time I come back, I'm just doing a little bit at a time. There's certain buildings you can completely demolish and other buildings that you can only clear out. It's kind of arbitrary too. Like, some of the buildings, very obviously they're destroyed, you should replace them, but other buildings look terrible and I would replace them if I could, but it won't let me.
Maybe a possible reason for it later.
Perhaps, yeah, story-related stuff. And I mean, you can put things inside the existing houses, and they will still count towards your overall town. The way the town works is that whenever you go into kind of the build mode, you see this green outline around the town, and everything within the green outline is counted in the town. So you can put stuff anywhere you want to, and it counts towards like your food production and your beds where people can sleep and all of that stuff. And it's a very, very defensible town. There's only one entrance into it, which I've got covered in like guard emplacements, all the low-level stuff. I don't want any raiders coming and getting in my stuff. I've got a flamethrower trap that you can activate, and it just covers the bridge in fire. Although the bridge is wood, so if it was in real life, I would burn the bridge to get to the ground.
You need to watch out about burning your bridges.
But I think that about wraps it up for how I feel about Fallout, kind of my first impressions. I mean, if you've got any more questions, or if you want to keep talking about it, I'm more than happy to. But
I haven't seen anything else major to ask about, but then again, I'm trying to avoid spoilers myself because I'm probably not going to play it before Game of the Year edition. Partly because of all the bugs, give them time to iron it out. And also, Bethesda is abysmal when it comes to their DLC practices.
yeah, I will say no microtransactions, which it's ridiculous that I have to be happy about that in a AAA $60 title, but no microtransactions.
Well,